Hi, Tony DeWitt here, Missouri appellate attorney and a guy who likes to make the law make sense on YouTube. Today we're going to talk about Elon Musk and Twitter, and I'm going to tell you my Twitter story. So hang loose, I'll be with you in a sec. So the headlines are that after a bunch of back and forth, Elon Musk is going to go ahead and buy Twitter for $44 billion. Pocket change to a guy who's got a lot more money than that. It is interesting to me that it took litigation to get there. And it's even more interesting to me that the people who are running the show at Twitter essentially forced his hand instead of making him pay some form of liquidated damages. But maybe it's not so difficult to understand. You see, when you file a lawsuit and you make allegations, and then somebody countersues and they make allegations, and your respective CEOs are going to have to testify under oath in a deposition, a lot of times that makes it possible that there could be revelations that come out of those depositions that could be harmful both to the reputation as well as to the value of those corporations. And as a result, somehow they got this idea that maybe the better course of action for everybody involved was for Elon Musk to simply go ahead with the deal. Now, some people have observed that essentially this means that Elon Musk's claims were baseless. I don't think that's true because there have been a lot of reports this morning on Twitter about people losing thousands of followers. Now, that's mostly people who already have hundreds of thousands of followers. But the assertion is that as a result of this, a lot of the bots that are sort of all programmed to say the same thing 1,000 different times, those are being eliminated by the powers that be at Twitter, so that when Mr. Musk takes over, there won't be all of those accounts. And theoretically, anyway, the value of the company will go down. Actually, I think the value of the company will go up because it will be seen a little bit more as a more trustworthy platform. So I promised to tell you my Twitter story, and here it is. About 2 years ago, there was a tweet that came out that essentially promoted a certain sacred cow of the left wing. And I simply posted medical facts that dealt with that particular sacred cow. Now, it is the last refuge of scalawags when they are confronted with hard medical facts that they cannot dispute, that they refer to that as hate speech. Because you see, hate speech doesn't really exist. You can't hate somebody through speech. You can certainly manifest that hate that you have through speech. But basically, hate is an internal problem that a person suffers from. And at some point in time in our lives, almost everybody has suffered from some degree of hate toward some person, object, or thing. For example, probably my third car, I could never get the darn thing to run right, and I absolutely hated that thing. But hate itself is, as somebody once said, like taking poison and expecting the other person to die. And perhaps more importantly, the idea that you can have hate speech is just plain stupid. Because the remedy for hateful speech is not less speech, it is more speech. Well, Twitter suspended me, and this is where I came across the really interesting part of Twitter. Twitter has terms of service that they absolutely require you to abide by. You can't say things they don't like. And as a result, They have a process where if you do say something they don't like, they can suspend you. But now and again, I think everybody would recognize that people jump the gun on that. So they have an appeal process. They say right on the notice that you get that says you've been suspended that you can appeal this determination. And indeed, you can fill out the forms and submit them to Twitter, which don't allow you to go into any depth with regard to your appeal. And then you have to wait for an answer. Well, I did this in August. I appealed the decision of Twitter in August, and I waited for an answer through the next September. Every month I would go and file another appeal and hear nothing. And I'd file another appeal and I hear nothing. I was absolutely not going to remove that tweet until I had gone through a year of asking for an appeal on that. And the bottom line is that Twitter simply does not abide by its terms of service. They're a nullity. They are something that they put out there to make you feel good about. Oh, well, if I say something and they misconstrue it, well, I have an appeal. Nonsense. You don't have an appeal. They ignore appeals. They don't even have anybody handling appeals. So after about 6 months of this nonsense, I sent a letter to the chief legal officer. I sent it certified mail, return receipt requested. I got back the return receipt. I never got an answer. So I took it up to the CEO, who at that time was Jack Dorsey. I sent him a letter, certified mail, return receipt requested. I got the return receipt back. I never got an answer from Jack Dorsey. Now, why is that? Well, that's because it would have, at that point, admitted that their terms of service are a sham. So here's what I'm hoping that Elon Musk will do. And I hope Elon watches this video, because he should immediately fire everyone who has anything to do with their appellate process, because it's a complete sham. And he should establish a fair and legitimate appeals process. And he should have people who are not Twitter employees handle the appeals. That doesn't mean go out and get some group of fact checkers to handle the appeal. It means go out and select a panel of normal Americans to review the tweets and decide whether or not they violate the terms of service. If you did that, you'd have a lot more people restored to service on Twitter. So, that's my hope. I think Elon Musk buying Twitter is the best thing since sliced bread. A lot of people don't think that. In fact, here are a couple of tweets where people are essentially calling him a mouthpiece for the Russians, and they're saying that he's anti-free speech. And then, as this particular poster points out, free speech is being allowed to say anything you want. But there is no process through which you can compel someone else to listen. So if you say something I don't like on Twitter, I'm probably going to block you. That's the way life goes. I find it incredibly funny that the people who ought to champion First Amendment rights and free speech are often the first people to sign up for taking those rights away. So that's my rant on Twitter this morning. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found something useful in what I've said. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. And if you haven't already, please go over here and subscribe to our channel. And leave me a comment, like, share, subscribe. You know all the stuff to do. Heck, you've probably done it on other channels. Thank you for watching. Have a terrific day, and I'll see you on Twitter.